Welcome back to Sovereign Conversations, the discernment dojo for truth-led, high-capacity people who are done abandoning themselves. I'm Beverley Schaefer. I'm a sovereign bioperformance architect, which I like to call myself, someone who has spent 15 years in high-performance environments delivering outcomes to others when my own body slowly paid the price. What I learned on the other side is sovereignty is not political first, it's biological. And this is where I find ways to regulate, restore, and activate the body naturally as it was created to do without the pharmaceutical intervention. Because you cannot build a sovereign life with a depleted body. So one of the most overlooked forms of depletion is one that affects all of us, and it's cellular dehydration. Not just water or drinking water dehydration, but dehydration that exists at the smallest level in the body, at the mitochondrial level. So we're going to talk today about water in a way that we've never talked before. Because sovereignty, as I say, is built from the cell upwards, and it starts with water, but not just any water, hydrogen water. My guest today is someone whose personal sovereignty story doesn't begin in the boardroom or in the clinic. It begins on the open ocean. Sean Firth is a South African entrepreneur. He's a systems thinker working at the intersection of molecular health, human performance, and personal sovereignty. He's also got a master's degree with a background in information systems engineering as well as software development, and has spent many years on luxury super yachts. And it was there that drinking reverse osmosis water, which was stripped of its natural mineral content, was where he started to see his body show signals that he couldn't ignore. Persistent fatigue, low energy, headaches that just would not quit. And rather than accept the price of the kind of job that he was doing, Sean started to ask the questions most of us never think to ask. What is actually in the water I'm drinking, and what is it doing to my cells? Now, that question changed the trajectory of his life, because he left the yachts, he stepped into molecular hydrogen space and built a company called Zenny, a leader in bringing molecular hydrogen technology to the South African wellness sector, with a product ecosystem that has mobile hydrogen systems, home-based as well as tablet form. And Zenny works very interestingly in active collaboration with the Molecular Hydrogen Institute in America, the world's leading scientific body dedicated to molecular hydrogen research, which really just means that the kinds of things that Sean is going to talk about and the claims that they make as a company is very much anchored in peer-reviewed science. So what I find compelling about Sean is that his thinking does not only stop at health. I mean, he's a Bitcoin advocate. He thinks about sovereignty, both financial and biological, through exactly the same kind of framework. And he says, the less you understand the system you depend upon, the more captured you become. Well, this is exactly the Sovereign Conversations lens that I focus on. So this is definitely a man after my own heart. Sean Firth, welcome to Sovereign Conversations.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the introduction. I feel like I'm a little bit proud here.
You should be. You should be. South Africa's got a lot to offer. So, Sean, let's go straight on to the questions. And I think the most important one where people start to think, and they've never really delved into molecular hydrogen water, is we assume that drinking water is the same, it will automatically hydrate your cells. So what does and where does the assumption break down?
So I think also water has never been seen as a luxury or a privilege. It's always just been there for us. And the things that have happened in South Africa in the recent years across the world, we're not the only people that are having these issues. But where you don't have it as a source anymore, you've had to look at, well, what are the alternatives? What am I actually putting in my body as the alternative? Why am I paying more for an alternative? And then how's the government looking after it and cleaning it and processing it? And so it comes to that point, and then you start looking at, well, the way it's being cleaned is using very efficient chemicals at destroying bacteria, but at the same time, those chemicals aren't great for your body. And then the minerals that the water is carrying, our tap waters in South Africa are actually carrying minerals, but it's more the chemicals and whatnot that's in them, from pharmaceuticals that are seeped in through the ground to where the water is stored, and the process and how people are getting rid of their pollution, really. And then going into the actual body, like you say, when I worked on the ships, we didn't have any minerals in the body, but water gets into your cell via reverse osmosis. And how that works is goes from a high to a low. So if your cell's got a low content of minerals, it needs the high content to be able to exchange across that membrane. But that's not happening if there's no mineral content in your water.
So we're really saying that tap water no longer benefits the body at a cellular level.
Not with the chemicals that are in it. And then we are supplementing that with reverse osmosis water, which is what's probably most easily available because you know it's clean. But unfortunately, that's still not the answer. We very at least need to be adding minerals to the water, and then hydrogen is taking that to the next level.
Okay. So they use the words that molecular hydrogen is described as a bioavailable therapeutic molecule on Earth. What on earth does that mean? I mean, what's it got to do with its size and its properties?
Well, the thing is, it's actually created naturally in the body anyway, by your gut bacteria as a byproduct of digesting fiber. But most people in the world today are depleted in the right gut bacteria for it, because of the foods we eat, the stress we're under, the lifestyles we lead, and this constant worry about what's happening in the world today, you know. So it's number one on the periodic table of elements. So that means it's super small, it's neutral, it's stable, it's odorless, and it's very effective at crossing the cellular membrane, especially in the brain.
Yeah, the blood-brain barrier.
Yeah.
So why is that important?
Well, there's also the gut connection. Let's say for neurodegenerative disease, as an example, that there's a big connection that's been established between the gut and the brain, and how that relates to neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, where hydrogen acts as an antioxidant, can cross the blood-brain barrier, bind with harmful free radicals in the brain, and pass out through the body.
And so size of molecule matters.
Yes.
Okay, that's something very new. Will you work also with the Molecular Hydrogen Institute? You know, what does that relationship give Zenny that other wellness or water-based companies don't get?
Yeah. So, I mean, they have weekly Q&A sessions with Tyler LeBaron, who's the lead scientist representing the States in hydrogen technologies. They offer the training that's available for it, so we are up to date with all the training, and there isn't anybody else that actually offers the training on it. I'm just going to jump in there quickly and also just say the other thing with the hydrogen and it being so small is it's super selective. So it won't come out and just bind with any free radical in the body, only the harmful ones. So that's just a precursor to that.
Yeah, that's
to pull in that. That's an important thing to note.
And then going back to the Institute, so you're saying we're on par with the United States and all the top companies in the world in terms of hydrogen water?
For sure. No, so anybody has access to it. We pay an annual membership, and that's to have access in the Q&As and have your input and get the feedback on the latest advancements in hydrogen technology.
Is it as popular, or is it? Tell me firstly about the South African market. Is it as popular as the US, or is the US as popular as the South African?
Yeah, so the US is definitely more popular. Japan is probably the most popular. They've incorporated literally in every part of their daily lives, from facial body products, water, inhalation systems, into their baths. They've really taken it to the next level.
Gosh. And then in terms of conventional antioxidants, you mentioned antioxidants earlier, vitamin C, glutathione. We know they're well known to most of us, but how's hydrogen's antioxidant mechanism different, and why does that selectivity matter?
Okay, so it matters because not every free radical is harmful. The body is about balance, and us in life in general trying to achieve balance. So that's probably hydrogen's main role. And in its role acting as an antioxidant, it also helps the body stimulate its production of its own antioxidants, glutathione being one of them. Then comparing hydrogen as an antioxidant with vitamin C, vitamin C will come in and kind of just wipe out all those harmful free radicals. The free radical in particular, the hydrogen water is super effective with binding, is the hydroxyl free radical. This is OH, so when hydrogen binds with it, it becomes H2O. So
Okay.
a lot of people will realize when they start taking hydrogen products, they might go to the loo more frequently, and that's its actual process of detoxing, and you know it's working.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting. So, and free radicals, let's just, for our listeners who may not understand, what is a free radical?
So a free radical is it's something that causes harm and disease in the body. It's positively charged. It wants to bind with anything and take from that, um, which is in particular with the cell and energy. The mitochondria in the cell produce ATP, which is energy in the body,
Right.
and free radicals want that energy. So
Okay.
your cell's ability to also repair itself is using that energy. So if your cells are depleted of all of that, it can't fight disease. Your immune system is depleted, and so that's why there's certain free radicals that we don't want in our body at all.
Okay. And moving on to the whole conversation around inflammation. Now, we know that we're in, 90%, 99% inflamed as human beings as a species, really, by the very nature of the way we live.
Yeah.
And I mean, I also understand specifically that it's not just, the living, but it's also, what you do. So I had, specifically a high performing career, and how over time it starts to break down the body. It's exactly why they say politics is toxic. It's definitely toxic on the body. But for someone that is dealing with chronic fatigue or brain fog, or a body that just can't seem to recover, and I mean, you see that a lot, what is happening at a cellular level, and how does hydrogen water intervene on the inflammation space?
Yeah, so that's where it comes down to those free radicals again. So wherever there is inflammation in the body, there's always found to be a large amount of free radicals. So again, it's hydrogen binding with those free radicals, and because it's so small, so selective, it works very efficiently, and you're consuming it, and it's doing its job within 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes. That's quite good. So we know that the research is showing that hydrogen water has a direct effect on the mitochondria function, which is the smallest little powerhouse of the cell. And for people who have been told that their fatigue is really just stress based or just age, how do you see the mitochondria changing with the use of hydrogen water? So what is really the
So
factor there?
essentially you're relieving the cell of the pressure on it to fight off those free radicals. So that allows the cell to concentrate more on what it's actually supposed to be doing, and is producing
Producing energy.
more energy for cells. Some people's cells are a little bit more depleted of mitochondria than others, but that's where NAD and NMN, one of our products actually has PQQ, which is a precursor to NAD. Those are the other supplements you're taking to help produce more mitochondria in the body. But at the same time, if your cells aren't under that much stress, it becomes more efficient in producing its own mitochondria.
Okay.
And that's where you see the increased levels of energy.
Okay, so you
So
immediately feel that.
yeah, so as much as hydrogen does its job within 15 minutes, that whole process obviously isn't cured
Sure.
straight away. That's why hydrogen is kind of falling more into the longevity market,
Yeah.
because you don't necessarily always see it on the outside straight away, but it's a lifelong benefit.
Definitely. Definitely. I think a lot of these modalities need to be taken over a period of time because of the lifestyle that we
Yeah.
have. So let's talk a little bit about the Zenny product range, because I mean this is my mobile hydrogen water bottle, which I absolutely love. First of all, I love the color that it goes when I wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes on is the blue light. But what's, as you can see, the little bubbles that are forming in the bottle. And tell us a little bit about the product range. So this is my favorite go-to. I carry this wherever I go and try and have at least 3 of these a day,
Yeah.
which I'm hoping is good for me.
So that is, so that'll meet your basic therapeutic benefit if you're doing a double cycle on it. So that is our portable water, which is handy to have on the go. Um, the, that has a concentration of 4,000 parts per million if you have two of those, if you run 2 cycles. So if you're having 3 cups of that a day, you're meeting your basic therapeutic requirement to meet the benefits of hydrogen water. Then we have our tablets, which has a higher concentration of hydrogen in it,
Okay.
produced by having elemental magnesium. The great thing about the elemental magnesium is there's no concerns of being able to absorb it because of the MTFHR gene mutations that some people have. And then it's also got citrulline in, which helps the body produce nitric oxide, which was actually seen as the greatest discovery in 1999 with regards to cardiovascular health, because it acts as a signaling molecule to stimulate blood flow through the body.
Okay, so yes, I mean that's very important. That was actually one of the questions of that combination. Why you've just said it's got incredible health benefits for the heart, and you've also put, obviously you've said magnesium,
Yes.
which we often forget that is so important. For most of us are magnesium deficient.
Yeah.
So having these attached to the hydrogen tablet, which is quite amazing that you can create hydrogen tablets like little fizzies
Yeah.
and just show them in a glass. Are you getting the ability to carry the other molecules such as magnesium and nitric oxide quicker through the blood-brain barrier and through the cells because you're using hydrogen?
So not to carry it quicker, but the hydrogen's always going to hit first, because that
Okay.
gets absorbed at the gut lining. The rest of it gets absorbed a little bit later in the stomach, and it goes and it's relieving the cells of the stress, so
Okay.
they're functioning, and then they're getting hit with the magnesium and the nitric oxide, and that's what's the great part about that.
And how many of these would you take in a day? Just one?
I mean, I'll take 4 a day, but I'm blessed because I make them. So
Yeah.
yeah, but one a day to notice a difference. Yeah.
Okay.
So people in a more stressful environment, whenever, that's the great thing about it, is in all the studies of hydrogen, there have been no harmful side effects that
Yeah.
have been noticed.
No
So
one dies
people
from it.
can take it up. Yeah, unfortunately, it just becomes a costing thing down the line, what you can do. But the other thing as well is it's not something that has to be done for life.
Yeah.
It can be done over a period to see improvements, and then you go into a maintenance
Yeah.
stage from there.
And then, of course, you have home-based systems.
Yeah, so we have countertop units. So this is where it comes down to where our conversation started, is we don't really trust the water that we have now.
Correct.
Even the bottled water, there have been all sorts of things that have happened there. I won't mention any
Yeah.
brands or anything.
But you've got a plastic problem with bottled water.
Plastic too. Yeah, plastic being exposed to
Heat.
in particular, even if plastic has too high a content of some minerals, it's causing corrosion of the plastics on the inside, and just the transport process of that plastic. The bottles are getting damaged and knocked around, so you're worried about the plastics that are coming in. The countertop units we have are stripping the the water clean, so the water is clean. Adding some minerals back from the carbon filter, but then it's hydrogenating the water in a UV tank. So you are getting the hydrogen water, but within yet again we have our minerals which we can add back. So you are getting that base level of minerals, which is 84 different minerals, and that's actually the core product I started with. When I started with all my fatigue and headache problems from drinking reverse osmosis water.
So has the yachting industry looked at hydrogen water tabletops?
So they're slowly getting there.
Yeah.
At very least, they're remineralizing now.
Okay. Yeah. At least they
Yeah.
can carry that in their
Yeah,
bags.
it's quite crazy because it started off with the crew being interested in it first before the actual guests.
Yes. Yes.
You would have thought it would have been the other way
Yes.
around, which is typically, yeah. But then we had more and more guests come on and talk about it, and they do go that way eventually. And they talk about how they've been to spas in Sweden, and that's actually, or not Sweden, sorry, it was Switzerland
Yes.
that had it, and then hotels in Japan where that's the water you get in the fridge, So
That's quite amazing. So, you and I both sit in a space where the conversation about health is really a conversation about reclaiming something which I believe at this stage is cellular intelligence. Because if you can activate the cells naturally, then you've got the body able to do the work it's supposed to be doing.
yeah.
So as well as the body's innate ability to repair, restore, rejuvenate, and thrive without the pharmaceutical intervention. And I think that's where we're both on the same page. Where do you see hydrogen water fitting into the broader longevity and regenerative medicine conversation?
Yeah. So, I think the one thing we can't deny about water is everybody needs it,
Yeah.
And you question whether it is becoming a thing that's being taken away from us because the quality that's out there, and it's starting to move more into a luxury frame.
Yeah.
A premium item for something we absolutely need, which is crazy. So I think that's the one thing. If you can at least very much claim your water, you're off to a good baseline. But I think health is just so important. Being able to function at your optimum and your premium, you a little bit more aware to what's going on in your surroundings. You don't kind of get sucked into the void.
Yeah. So taking good water or having a protocol and a lifestyle of putting good into the cells is obviously an added advantage. And unfortunately, it has become a bit of an upmarket product.
Yeah.
Like so much where it should be a right to every human being. And maybe we should ask governments about why that's the case, of why we don't really get the kind of basic needs met at a cellular level.
Yeah.
But in your experience with clients, what are the most surprising and unexpected benefits that people report when they commit to a hydrogen protocol?
What's crazy, it even comes down to tasting cleaner water.
I definitely agree.
But so reduced brain fog, more stamina and quicker recovery are some of the first notable signs. And then it goes deeper, 3 to 6 months, people noticing their skin's improving.
Yeah.
And just general well-being and mood even. So it's like I say, it comes down to balance.
Yeah.
And yet again, with the one thing that we all need, it's an easy thing to do, is have healthy water.
Absolutely. And I mean, your systems, you can have hot and cold.
Yeah.
So you literally can have good coffee
Exactly.
too.
So there's no reason why you can't. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, we live in an era of biological attack. We know this: environmental toxins, electromagnetic radiation, processed food systems, disrupted sleep. Where does it fit in as a daily act of biological sovereignty? So, you started off, first thing you get up, is that the first thing you should do? How really should you start?
In terms of a routine, first thing I do every morning, so actually at night, the night before, I put my glass of water next to my bed and I have my tablet next to the glass of water. I wake up in the morning, I'll drop the tablet in the glass, go to the loo, come back, and just down that 300 to 500 mils, and that's just my base for how I start my day. And that's actually how I ended up taking the business over, is because I just started with that daily habit. And it's, for me, it changed a lot.
Everything.
And plenty of our clients say the same. We have a return rate of 60% of our clients. So there must be something right there. Hey?
No, there definitely is.
Not only just the science.
No, definitely is. And so talk a little bit about your own personal benefits that you've experienced, because how long have you been on the tablets?
So I've been on the actual tablets for just over 3 years now.
Okay.
So it all kind of happened the same time of having my son, and then my daughter, and moving back to South Africa to take the business on and grow it all. So in terms of just being able to manage it all, I think it was a complete lifestyle change from having worked on the yachts, moving back to land, as we call it.
Yes.
Having 1 kid to 2 kids, and the stress involved with it all. We moved house and all sorts. And to be honest with you, I look back at the journey, I'm just like, how on earth did I do it? And I can only think of the one thing is the water, and obviously the support systems I have around family and what. But yeah, that's the one consistent thing I've had.
And obviously you said your brain fog and headaches all disappeared over time. Yeah, we think that these kinds of products and protocols are fads, but they're really not fads at all. They really are about redefining or really reigniting our bodies at a cellular level. I mean, I've read, for example, that from the age of 30, the basic stem cells that go dormant are 50%. So from age of 30, you're rapidly aging. The cells just go dormant, and by 60, you only have 10% left of your stem cells. Now, stem cells sit in every single part of the body. How are we supposed to be able to have healthy lifestyles if the way that we live, or the way we've been exposed to living, a lot of it we don't have a choice about? What's coming out of the air, and the aluminium that's falling on our heads every day, and the tin cans that we drink out of, these are all adding some negative radical, free radical into the body. So we're really not talking about fads. We're really talking about taking back our lives, taking back our biological sovereignty by igniting something positive into the cells right at the smallest level.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think it's very, very important. Is one of the reasons why Sovereign Conversations as a podcast is why I wanted to talk to people like you, to get people to understand and ask the question, well, if I'm not feeling great 100% of the time, how do I really start doing this without having to go to the pharmacy?
Well, that's the thing, because the lives we live now, it's not just one thing, but it's where to start, as you say. And that's, I thought the easiest part to start was water. But I've also learned there's certain things that this works great in conjunction with, and vital things that we need in our lives, and which we don't exposure to, is the sunlight,
100%.
movement, and your sleep patterns.
100%.
Which get ruined with kids, but
yeah, you can imagine, especially sleep.
And then other tools like, so the LifeWave patches, if you in the winters, and especially if you can get some red light therapy, they 100%. Just all make such a big difference.
I'll definitely be doing some more conversations around those that I believe are the absolute core essential additives that you should add into your daily program. And you're absolutely right. People are so busy putting high levels of sunscreen on, and they're actually not getting the sun into the body in order to stimulate the vital, important vitamin D at a level that we need particularly during winter. So that's incredibly important.
And like you say, we're getting all these poisons from everywhere. It's almost unavoidable. And that's a stress in its own, worrying about what you're doing but movement, you're sweating, you're getting rid of it. Saunas, you're sweating, you're getting rid of it. And especially where we live in this part of the world, you're definitely getting the heat from it, you know.
Yeah.
So I think if you worried about, well, take into consideration what you're putting in your body and how you're getting the bad stuff out is a huge start.
Do you think that by doing just the basics of water protocols, such as hydrogen water, you become more resilient to stress?
For sure.
Okay.
For sure. I think it also establishes a little bit of routine, and routine goes back years and years to something that is a component of relieving stress.
Okay.
So that's one thing. But then how your body is actually being hydrated and your cells are functioning to a point. The brain, you know it because the brain fog is clearing. You're able to think through things a little bit clearer and not panic as much.
Yes.
It's also something I've noticed in my behavior has become a lot more relaxed, I would say. Though some people would say I'm generally just a relaxed person, but I think I'm just more composed.
Yes. Yes.
But there was a lot going on in the background before, you
Yeah.
know, and
I can
I
imagine.
handled it better. Yeah.
Yeah, I must say I have also found that to be relevant in my life, and it definitely adds an ability to handle any stress that comes your way, and also surprises. You tend to be a little bit more, or a lot more, in control of your life and the anxieties that I used to experience. Sean, I ask a version of this to every guest on my show. We've talked about depletion, about cells, about water most people have never questioned. So, and you've answered it partially, but I'll ask it again. Is it possible that the most radical act of sovereignty, which is the ability to take our power back, to someone listening right now, could take, which is not a supplement, not a program, not a strategy, but simply changing what they drink?
For sure. I think so. And the thing is, it almost makes it sound like it's this miracle thing, but it's not. It's very simple, very straightforward, which a lot of people also don't understand. It's like there's hydrogen in water already. It's not. It's separate to it when you're infusing in it, and you definitely can reclaim yourself again just by starting with a simple, basic thing like that.
And tell us where they can find you, where people are
So
interested.
our website, Take a Lot, Faithful to Nature. We are growing. We're still relatively small, but we're trying to make it accessible for everybody. And bigger we get, the more we want to bring prices down and everything. As we manufacture in South Africa, so unfortunately, a lot of our stuff isn't available locally. But
You have to import.
we have to import, but we're getting there.
Fantastic. Sean, this has really been a masterclass in cellular intelligence. What you're doing with Zenny, Zenny is not just selling water, and this is why it's so important. You're really giving people access back to their biological right, the right to actually hydrate at a level of cellular level, which allows the body to function, to thrive far more than just drinking water. For everyone listening, I think this, if this conversation has landed with you, then your next step is really simple. Regulate, restore, and activate the body naturally with something like hydrogen water. Because, again, you cannot build a sovereign life on a depleted body. And as I say, I really believe that sovereignty starts from the cells upwards. And remember, you haven't lost yourself. You've really just been running on a broken system like many of us had been for a long time. So start at the cells, start with water. Energy comes first, then clarity, and then sovereignty. This has been Sovereign Conversations. I'm Beverley Schaefer. Build a sovereign self and then a sovereign life. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you on the next episode.